Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning into the COVID-19 lockdown account. Today, I've got Rui with me. Rui is in self-isolation over in Portugal, and he's actually over there as a freelance senior edit assistant as well as a music producer. So, Rui, how are we today?
I'm fine, thank you. Got coffee on me and the unhealthy cigarette, so I'm okay. I'm okay. The sun is shining. It was raining down really heavily earlier on, but it's clearing up now. All
Good.
good.
I'm glad. I'm glad. So it's looking sunny. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. The weather isn't the best over here. And for those of you that are watching, we are coming up in the UK to week 8 in isolation. So how many weeks have you guys been in isolation over in Portugal?
We've been the government actually imposed lockdown measures since the beginning of March, really. So March, April, 2 months and 2 weeks now.
For
But
10 weeks. Yeah.
yeah, I was on isolation as well when I was in London because I only moved back at the end of March.
Mm.
So the company I was working at that time, they provided a work laptop with a hard drive filled with media. So I was on self-isolation for a whole month, working from home, which I really enjoyed it. It was flexible. You had the video editing software on the work laptop. They would send you the briefs. They would send you the assets. You download the assets. You made the cuts and send it to them. That was perfect. In terms of assisting, was a little bit more complicated because most of the companies that are based in London, they operate with localized media. So, and because there's huge storage groups of media in those companies, it's a little bit impossible to send all the media back to us at home.
Mm.
But because on this last company I was working on, it was more video promo editing for a sports company. So that was way easier. I was cutting 15-second and 30-second promos. So that was way easier. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I've spent 1 month in isolation in London. And then Portuguese operator TAP actually had a flight or two to whoever wanted to return back to Portugal, and I thought, this is it. I'm going to. So I took the flight, and then I've self-isolated for 15 days here, but I'm still at home pretty much. We're all
Yeah.
wearing masks and taking all the precautions.
Okay. I mean, by the looks of things, you've got quite a decent little setup there anyway. You've got one or two records. For those of you listening, I'm looking at Rui in his home office, and the back wall is like floor to ceiling of records, and that, yeah, I can see that. You've definitely got enough to get through. They're everywhere. They're literally
Another one.
absolutely everywhere. So
It's like
you've got enough to keep yourself occupied by the looks of things.
it's almost 6,000 records now. My mom keeps on nagging me because I keep on buying them. It's my life, it's my passion. So it's all good.
We need our passions, and we need our guilty pleasures as well. So after coming back from London and then to Portugal, would you say there's any differences, any fundamental feelings, differences, or anything like that between the two lockdowns?
I feel that the UK was a bit more reckless in terms of lockdown measures, man. I did.
Yeah.
And one of the things that scared me off really was all the talks about herd immunity, you know? And everybody was giving Sweden as an example. And you look at Sweden's death rates now, and they're up the roof as well. I've read about it. I've read about herd immunity. I've read plenty of articles about all sorts of things, but I still think it's a bit too risky to go herd immunity, you know.
Mm.
And the reason why I think Portugal is dealing very, very well with this lockdown is because they've implied the lockdown measures since the very start. There weren't even deaths, and the government just went forward and said, listen, we advise everybody to stay home, and we're gonna try and get some funding for companies to furlough their employees, and that's that. So I do feel that I got a bit scared, you know. I feared for my life, and I was living in a flat with an old lady as well. She's 75, and she kept on going out, and I thought maybe she's gonna catch the virus, and then she's gonna give it to me, you know.
Yeah.
no gloves, no mask whatsoever. You know, she wasn't wearing any of that.
And in London as well. That's
Yeah, man.
yeah.
It's just, and she kept on going for her walks and to her local coffee shop, which then closed down, obviously. I don't know, man. I felt a bit unsafe, and that's what made me move back. You know, I felt a bit scared. Um, I really, I don't know, man. I've got mixed feelings because I still want to come back. I'm still waiting for my agency to kind of contact me whenever and if this is gonna be more relaxed, and if the freelance market will pick up again, I will then come back to work. But I'm basing myself here now. But yeah, I felt that the UK wasn't dealing well with the lockdown measures in the same way that Brazil and the United States. There's a political pattern right there, but I don't want to get political.
No, no. That's a whole nother podcast. But
Yeah.
But you know, I can report back that this weekend has probably been the worst weekend on record for people ignoring the lockdown measures. I do think there's an element of propaganda there that they do want to scare people into staying at home, which I can understand the reasoning for that. So, you know, there's no real reason why people in the middle of the countryside, in the middle of nowhere, need to be seeing images of Blackpool and Southend seafront, which are jam-packed full of tourists. And it is all just measures to say, don't leave the house because all these people are out there trying to spread the virus, which yeah, you know, it's a bit scare tactics, but you know, ultimately, if it means people stay at home and they're going to be safe, then so,
Yeah.
you know,
I think
you do
people
what you
should.
do.
I think this is my personal opinion. I am pro lockdown because I think it's way safer. Because unfortunately, the human race can be a little bit dumb. You know, no, it's true, man. You know, whether you're British, whether you're Portuguese, whether you're Spanish, it doesn't matter. I think people can be a bit dumb. So if you don't impose the lockdown measures, I think it might propel people to have a little bit more of a reckless attitude and spread the virus even more. Because you know, when I was sent home on that very weekend, the first weekend, I had a bit of fever. I didn't have cough, but I had a bit of fever, and I went really concerned. Oh my days, am I gonna, you know, do I have the COVID-19 sort of thing? But then I took a paracetamol, and then it went away. I had a bit of a sore throat too, but then it went away after 2 or 3 days. So maybe I had it, but it doesn't manifest in the same way and in everyone. You know what I mean? But even though I'm pro lockdown, I think people should use their common sense too. You know, because let's say people in the Midlands or people that are in more less urban areas. It's okay to go out, I guess, within reason. You know what I mean? I think the lockdown measures are indeed the most appropriate behavior that people should take, because unfortunately there are dumb people and people do dumb things, man, you know. But I think, you know, people should act within reason, you know. I still think that lockdown is the best way to go, to be honest, because you look at other countries, curves and, you know, people that have been doing the lockdown, like us, for instance. We are okay, I guess. Our government is talking about easing lockdown measures as well, which is getting a lot of people concerned. So I think even though the government will slow down some lockdown measures, I think people will still be reasonable and stay at home. I'm staying at home. I've been here since beginning of April. Well, late March, and I've only went out twice, you know, to buy cigarettes. That's it. So I don't know, man.
It does sound right. I think it's going to be more a case of, like, you know, when they see when you see on TV the nature shows where they've had an animal that they've had in captivity for like 3 weeks or something, where they've operated on it, like a squirrel's broken its arm, and when they open the cage, it doesn't come bolting out. It almost feels that its cage is the safer place than being out in nature. And I think we're going to have the same kind of effect. They're going to open all the doors and everyone's just going to kind of sit in there and think, I'm okay, thanks, you know. And I think it's going to take a long time for people to come out and act as normally as possible, because there will still be this element that it's out there, and it is, you know, even though the curve is flattened, that you still will probably get it, and you're going to have to deal with it, you know, until there's a vaccine. That's the way it's going to be. So
It's a bit of the Stockholm Syndrome as well, you know.
yeah,
I've read several posts of friends of mine that said, "Oh, I just went out grocery shopping and I feel Stockholm Syndrome because I'm not used to going out now."
yeah,
You know, everybody's kind of. I'm not going to say that everybody's enjoying staying at home. I am. I'm not an antisocial person, but I'm surrounded by my passion, and I'm starting my own record label soon as well. So I've been really immersed on music production. After this call, I'm going to edit a promo video for a friend of mine who's starting a record label too. So, you know, for me, it's kind of a blessing in disguise, so to speak. You know, because I do enjoy to stay home. Don't get me wrong, I love going out with my friends, but at this stage, I really don't want to. Also, not to risk myself and not to risk others. You know, I think that's the most sensible thing to do.
yeah. And it has to be. People have to think about other people and their actions and what that can do. And over in Portugal right now, I mean, what kind of things are the government doing for like small businesses, for big businesses, for people that are going on furlough? Is that happening out there? Is there anything they're doing?
Yeah, they are. Although I have to say, obviously, economically speaking, the UK is way, way stronger. And I think economically speaking, the UK is dealing way much better than we are here.
Yeah.
Um, the government has had talks with the European Union about funds and about furloughing people. There's already stuff put in place for bigger companies, but also for smaller companies. There's obviously people upset because when they apply, there are some restrictions and they might not be entitled to it. From what I've seen, from what I've been reading, from what I've been watching in the news, we are implementing stuff, but not as good as Germany or the UK. I know a German friend. She's an artist, and you know, she's a DJ as well, and she just applied for it, and 3 days afterwards she had 5,000 in her bank account, just like that, you know. Whereas here it's taking a little bit of time. They said they opened the website, the government website, with the applications, and it was said that this was beginning of April, and it was said that the money only would come the end of April. There's already people kind of starving, you know. But fortunately, the Portuguese people, they're very charitable, you know. People are helping a lot, and this sense of community is rising up a lot. And there's a lot of people creating groups on Facebook, saying that they've got food banks and stuff like that, and they've got food and clothing for the ones in need, and people that are quarantining themselves, they go out and do their shopping. You know, there's beautiful stories out there.
Yeah.
You know,
That is lovely. The one thing I will say over in the UK as well, by the sounds of things, and it might be just the world over right now, is the sense of community and almost like a global unity of the fact that we're all going through the same thing. It's almost like the only thing I can explain it to is some of the sci-fi alien films, you know, like Independence Day and stuff, where it goes around the globe and everyone's going through the same kind of thing. I mean, it's not to that extreme, obviously, but
yeah.
it's the same kind of level of camaraderie and the coming together of community that is the one thing that I think I'm going to remember with fond eyes from this time.
That's true. There's also the negatives, in my view, which is social media. I'm a strong believer that social media has got both good things and bad things.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm all up for freedom of expression. I'm all up for critical thinking. There's way too many conspiracy theories going on. I actually love Bobby's posts because, you know, honestly, you know, he's funny. He's very clever guy as well.
Very clever guy. Yeah.
you know, he used to be a supporter of alternative thinking, not to call them conspiracy theories because they hate that.
Yeah.
And now he's, you know, he's kind of fundamenting his ways through showing people that people should be open-minded, because alternative thinkers, they think that they're open-minded, but they're actually not. I had someone picking up bones with me because of a post I've made on my social media, and I'm not
Yeah.
posting that anymore. You know, I've learned my lesson, because I'm the sort of person that wants peace and tranquility. I don't want confrontation with anybody. I don't want to be enemies with anybody. And 3 people or 4 people have unfriended me on Facebook, which is fine, you know, but maybe I was a bit too patronizing on my posts. I'm a bit of a comedian. You know, I've
Yeah.
posted a selfie of me pointing to some telephonic cables with the phrase like this and say, "You guys have no idea. Here in Portugal, we've got 5G through cables, man.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
community is way ahead." And someone gave me so much hatred on that. So, firstly, it was Brexit. I stopped posting about Brexit. Secondly, it was UK politics. I've stopped posting about UK politics. And thirdly, conspiracy theories. I've stopped posting about those. I've got my views. I respect everybody's views. So I do think that social media, everybody's got a stand. Everybody's got, everybody thinks that their opinion is valid and they're the bearers of the whole truth. And that's rife here in Portugal as well. So even though there's a big sense of community, unfortunately, there's also a lot of hatred being spread, a lot of xenophobic stuff, like people banning going to Chinese restaurants and blaming the Chinese for this, man. You know, you know, I can't say that they're the ones to blame. It's probably their lack of sanitary measures in their meat markets. There's also people that say that this virus was lab created. There's also people that are saying that Bill Gates is behind all of this and is, you know, manufacturing microchips to be administered through vaccines, which for me is a little bit mind-boggling, because how can you manufacture a microchip so tiny that it goes through a syringe needle? Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think people are very gullible as well. I'm not, you know, respect to people's opinions, respect to whatever people want to post, but I think alternative thinkers, they take advantage of this situation because they know that people are more uneasy. So it's easier to you know, get them on their side. But at the same time, they're spreading hatred. They're spreading insecurity on people.
Yeah.
And this is not what we need now, man. This is not what we need. I think YouTube banning some videos is not good either, but you know,
Totally.
your own, man. But yeah, let's focus on the positive things, man. I think the sense of community, yes, definitely, for sure, man. It's a great thing. I've seen beautiful stories here in Portugal, people that were coming through, because that's the thing. When that's the thing that people tend to forget as well, is that when people are struggling, people get defensive and get shy and introvert, saying, "Oh, I'm struggling, I'm starving, but I don't want to put it out there because that's going to show me as a weak person." But I've seen beautiful stories, man. People coming through and saying, "Listen, this is, you know, people with mental health issues coming through on my Facebook feed and exposing their mental health issues and saying that they need help." And, you know, heartwarming messages, man, and heartwarming support. And that for me is the positive thing. And I'm also hoping, I'm a bit of a utopist or an utopic person.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that after this, the world will remix itself in music production terms, you know, to become a slightly better place. Although the negativists are already warning people on social media that we've had pandemics before. People had the same sort of speech and thinking that the world was going to become a better place, and it all went down to be the same. So I want to believe that we're going to come out of this slightly better, or at least a little bit more aware. But
I think when it comes to that way of thinking, the more you spread what you want to see, uh, and positive will always outweigh negative when done en masse. You know,
True.
a smile is more contagious than a frown. I think that if you spread more joy, more happiness, and more positivity, and I think if you kind of invite other people or persuade other people to do the same, as opposed to what some other people are doing, and they're trying to make people spread panic and fear. That's the way to start the change. And you know, as corny as it sounds, you know, be the change you want to see is probably one of my favourite things to hear. And I think it's true. You know, do more for other people, and then don't ask for adulation. Just say, you know, spread positivity and help someone else. All I want in return is for you just to be happy and spread positive message. I don't want you to tell people I've helped you, but just spread a positive message. And whenever you feel down, remember the stuff that people have done for you and things that you've done for other people. And that way we can continue that kind of self-propelling positive message, which will help. And one other thing as well I've done is whenever I see negativity on my Facebook feed or or any of my feeds, so Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok, I just delete. I mute. I don't delete. I mute because they might be in a bad place, right? So I just mute, and then I can come back to them in 30 days. You know, snooze them or something like that.
You know, I thought. Sorry to interrupt. I thought of doing the exact same thing. I'm not a sucker for likes, or I'm not a sucker
No.
for a number of friends. I don't care about that. I use my social media to expose my work as a music producer, but also to have the comedic me. You know, I like to be a bit of a clown. And there's a lot of people in the UK that actually message me privately and saying, thank you for your funny post, Rui, because you're making my day. You're making us laugh in this situation. But when it comes to muting people and deleting people, I prefer, this might sound harsh, but I prefer to see my enemy and see what they're posting. Even though that is going to imply negativity on me. At least I can see where they're coming from, and I can see how they express themselves. Obviously, those 4 people that deleted me, bye Felicia, you know, I can't do anything about that. But I'm fed up of seeing people posting, you know, day in, day out, the videos of that pandemic, pseudo doctors that you just do a little bit of research and you can see that they're frustrated doctors because they've been taken away liberties or something, or they've done something wrong in the past, and now they're coming through YouTube, showing their evidence, you know. I totally get you, and I might be doing the same because it's playing a little bit with my mental health, you know, to be on my Facebook, you know, and just mute people. As I said, I prefer to see them. I prefer to see. I'm rubbish at confrontation and I'm argumenting, but I prefer to see what they're posting because if push comes to shove and I have to argue with someone, at least I know their position, where they're coming from. And Bobby helped me a lot on this with this brilliant website. He explains a lot of things, and he links to a lot of articles that are linked to psychology, are linked to science. And this is one of the things is we should never belittle anyone. And that's why I stopped posting, because throughout my humorous posts, I actually went back and saw some of them, and maybe I was belittling a little bit people that are believers of alternative ways of thought, you know? So to keep myself sane, and to keep everybody that is following me sane, I decided not to post anything else about coronavirus or UK politics. There's some funny stuff coming through memes, man. I've been laughing a lot. But yeah, when it comes to blocking or muting, I prefer to leave them there. If they want to block themselves up, I was more, you know, blood boils whenever I see something, and I was more, oh, let me go and comment something, you know. But then I think twice or 3 times, and then no.
No, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
What kind of things are you doing for motivation at the moment? What kind of things are you using to propel your motivation at the moment?
Music, man, as you can
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
I've got a little dog as well outside. Um, I'm closer to my mum and dad, which I've been away for almost 12 years, because I moved in September 2008 and I would only visit 2 or 3 times. So that's what motivates me, to be closer to them, whenever they go out to the supermarket, I always tell them, wear a mask, don't touch your face, you come home, you wash your hands, being like the daddy of them, son, looking
Yeah.
after them. But I think my main motivation is the positive stories that I see on social media, that and music, man, music. As I said, I'm starting my own record label soon. So I'm using that. I'm very immersed in music production. I've also got a monthly radio show podcast, which I
Oh,
do
nice.
on live, called Eclectic Beats. It's vinyl only, broken beat, house, those sort of electronic fusion stuff. So that's what keeps me motivated, is music. Since my very early years of my existence, I believe, because music is my main fuel. If you're feeling down, you play some tunes, man, and you'll cheer up.
Yeah.
Not, I think not everybody is as passionate for music. People have got different passions in life, but I think because music is a physical thing, but at the same time it's non-physical because it's propagated by airwaves, and it gets through your ear and it goes through your spine and makes you feel things. If you're feeling low, just play something, Marvin Gaye, Sunny, thank you for the smile, na, 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 and it just cheers me up, man.
Yeah, I can hear that as you say it there, as you said it. Yeah.
I'm already feeling my little bits of hair crankling up. That's what motivates me the most, is music, and then is seeing positive stories, on social media, and also calling my friends and check on them if they're doing okay, because I've left a lot of friends in the UK, man, and it breaks my heart that after 12 years I moved back. It still breaks my heart because I felt comfortable there. I felt that London was my second home,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'm super happy with my choice. I'm not paying rent. I've got a huge bedroom / studio.
Mm.
I've got mom and dad's food. So man, it's like living in a posh hotel.
Very. I can imagine it is. And what kind of take homes have you had from this? You know, what kind of things have you had that have really made you appreciate certain things in your life?
In what sense?
So anything really, just what kind of things are you now appreciating more now that you're away from those people? It can be like phone calls. It could be realizing that you should be doing more of something. Is there anything
Yeah.
that you've had a bit of an awakening to?
Friendships, most definitely. Friendships. I've made really good friends in the UK, as I just said, and it breaks my heart to be away from them. So I think I'm learning to cherish them more, even more now, checking on them, see how they're doing. I had a phone call this morning with a producer friend of mine, and he was telling me that he was having a bit of a bad time, and I was trying to comfort him, and he actually felt a little bit better afterwards. And that gives me joy, and I appreciate that. I appreciate dialogue. I appreciate support way more now, I think. But yeah, it's the hardest bit is to be away from my London family. To be away from, because let's face it, music wise, there's no place like London. You've got a plethora of offers in terms of gigs, live concerts, theaters, cinemas, arts, man. Arts in London is just insane, But I also think, and that's what made me decide moving back. I also think that the internet these days, you know, we're having a Zoom meeting right here.
Mm.
I can produce my own music. We can collaborate online as well. You know, I can come up with some sort of musical structure. I can send it via Dropbox or email or WeTransfer to one of my mates, and he adds his stuff, and then I get it back, and then I mix it, and then we release it. You know, so I don't know, man. I still preferred to be there, but it made way more sense to be here now because, you know, there will be planes whenever this will be calmer, I guess. There will be planes. I can easily take a plane. If my agency contacts me saying, Rui, we've got a month contract for you. Are you up for it? Say, yeah, cool. Go online, book a flight, you know, book an Airbnb for the duration of the contract, and then come back, you know. Yes, I loved staying there for those 12 years, and it made sense. But I think right now it makes more sense to be here. And, you know, as well as friendship that I'm cherishing way more. I've got heartwarming messages, man. I've made a video on Instagram telling the reasons why I left the UK, political reasons, government dealing with this pandemic, but also music scene reasons. And I had the most heartwarming messages from some of my musical idols messaging me privately, and, you know, people calling me straight away. I was on a Facebook call, audio call for 2 hours with one of the most respected DJs in London. He's been DJing for donkey years, since 1974. I wasn't even born.
Wow.
You know, soul to soul friends. He's friends with, you know, the main guys. And he was giving me a big up, man. He was telling me, I think you've done the right thing because, you know, you've finally realized after 12 years that the music scene is a little bit shallow and people step on each other's toes as well. You know, I'm way more tranquil here. I can focus way more on my music production. Yes, I'm a little bit concerned that I don't have work. I hope that's going to pick up soon. If it doesn't pick up, I'm also going to try and find work here in Portugal. You know, you have to do what you have to do, whether if it's in TV or supermarket till or sweeping streets, man. I'm that humble. I'm
with you
not.
on that. I'm with you on that too.
I'm not a big ego guy, you know.
Yeah.
If I need to come back to fitness too, I'm totally up for it. But I would prefer not to, because fitness is a fierce world as well, man. There's so many people with gyms. There's so many fitness instructors. I honestly wouldn't want to be a personal trainer. You can talk about that better than I do, right?
Yeah, it's brutal. It's a brutal industry.
I know, man. And trust me, I took physical education in sports more than 15 years ago. I've done it for 5 years. I didn't finish my degree because I realized that gymnastics, I wanted to be, even though I was a fitness instructor, aerobics and step, I wanted to specialize in artistic gymnastics and trampoline gymnastics. I was a trampoline gymnast for 5 years as well. And I'm a skateboarder and a snowboarder as well. But I realized on the 5th year that I was doing my specialization in gymnastics, I had to do an observational 2-week essay of 2 young gymnasts. And I was there every single day in Lisbon, watching them training and watching a Russian male coach and a Chinese female coach. The sort of stuff that they were doing to the kids, it was just appalling, man. The girls, 6-year-old, 5-year-old, doing the spreads on 2 elevated chairs, one feet on each chair. They were doing the spreads. It was already curved, right? So they were floating, only with the 2 feet standing on the edge of the 2 chairs, and the spreads were already, you know, very, very, very curved. And the Chinese coach pushing them shoulders down.
Yeah.
And I could see the girls crying tears of pain, and the Chinese coach screaming at them, saying, do you want medals? Do you want results? If you do, you have to cry. You have to suffer. And I've joined trampoline gymnastics by the pure pleasure of it, by, you know, the coordination, the spatial orientation, the strictness, you know, how do you call it? Not in a military sense of things, but, you know, the alignment of, you know, arms and legs and, you know, the different positions, the somersault, the challenge, the adrenaline, gymnastics imply. And when I saw that, I went sad, you know, I went really sad. I went, this is not what gymnastics is for me. Gymnastics is all about the pure pleasure of doing it and the challenge that you imply to your own self of, you know, getting yourself better through jumping hurdles, you know, of your own fears, winning over your own fears too. That for me is the pleasure of gymnastics. So then I thought, no, I don't want to be a gymnastics coach like this one. I could carry on and try to be a different gymnastics coach, but, you know, I've went to competitions myself. There's a lot of bitchiness around between clubs, between coaches. I thought, okay, so I'm going to finish this, and, you know, I'm going to be a PE teacher in schools and do my music on the side and my video editing on the side. And then it took me 2 weeks of teaching my gymnastics coach classes with kids from between 6 and 12. And this was over 15 years ago. And it only took me 2 weeks to realize, nah, I haven't got the patience to deal with kids, man. Kids are rebel these days, man. They're like, oh, man. I didn't have the patience. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna change my course to film and broadcast in the same uni. They gave me equivalence of the first year. So I took 2 years there, and then I got bored of the industry here in Portugal, and I moved to London, finished my degree there, started running at NV Post-Production, and then worked up the ladder, became a junior edit assistant, then a senior edit assistant, then, you know, jumped from company to company, and then became freelance. And here I am, unemployed.
We all are. We all are.
I know.
It's all amounted to this moment, but there's only one way to go from here, and that's up. So, Rui, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
As we head towards the close of all this, and, you know, you've shared some heartwarming messages from people that you've spoken to, and you've given us some take-homes and things that you've definitely kind of started to kind of hold dear to you, especially in the sense of your friendships and the people that you love. If you could go back in time now, and you could go back to the beginning of when this all started, so for you it would have been about 8 weeks ago, and you could have grabbed yourself by the shoulders and said, Rui, you need to do this, or you need to do less of this. What's the one piece of advice you'd give yourself?
That's a tough question, man, because obviously I'm very influenced by the big life move I've just made of moving back to Portugal, you know. I don't know, man. I would say think with your head, but with your heart too, you know. I think that would be my biggest advice. Be sensible with your own self, with your own life choices, man. That's what I've done. I don't think I'm regretting it. Maybe I will in the future. But as I said, I think I've made the right move because I can still go back to the UK. You know, I've got a limited company there. I'm paying taxes in the UK. I'm not paying taxes here. So I'm still planning on coming back for work and steal all your media jobs. Sorry. I had to throw this one. It's just, I don't know, man. Probably 8 weeks ago, I think I would still made the decision I've made. And my biggest advice to my own self would be to do exactly what I've done, is to put all the cards on the table and evaluate things, you know, because I was living with that old lady, but I had an amazing, fantastic flat share coming up with one of the people I respect the most in the music industry. He's a label owner. I'm not going to say names or label names because it doesn't matter. and I was going to move in to live in his house. And that broke my heart, because that could be that was going to be an amazing flat share. He said, Rui, man, I'm so glad you decided to move in with me, because you're a top level human being. You're very oh, my mom's calling me. Mãe, eu estou numa chamada ao vivo. Eu já vou.
Senão passa, já tirei o Fradinho e tudo. Ficou só para mim. Obrigado.
Sorry.
That's fine.
My mom and technology, right? So, as I was saying, I was gutted, man. I was gutted because it was going to be an amazing flat share. He's a very respected music label owner. And, you know, I was going to share the house with him, and I was going to help him with his own label runnings. I'm starting my own label. He was going to help me with my label runnings, and that was all exciting. But that's the advice I would give to everyone, you know, life choices, man. Everything happens for a reason. I'm gutted. I'm still not sleeping well because, you know, I've probably upset him. But I have to think of myself too, you know, and I thought of myself, and that's what I've done. I've put all the cards on the table, and I thought, okay, I'm going to move to his place, but I have got no work. So I'm still going to have to pay rent. So that's going to set me back until September, at least £3,000 in total, with rent and bills and food.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought really, really, really hard and deeply, man. I was thinking with my heart mostly, but then my head came through and thought, Rui, you're not happy with the way the UK government is dealing with this pandemic. You're putting your life at risk by staying here. You're also draining up your savings if you stay here. So it was the hardest phone call of my life, man. It took me 5 days to prepare myself to call him and break the news. He was really, really, really sad. I hope he's not upset with me. I actually asked him if he was going to be upset with me. And, you know, he just said, oh, no, fine, you do what you've got to do. I totally understand.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking. It's still heartbreaking. It still breaks my heart because of the amazing flat share it would be. We would help each other out, music-wise, personally-wise. But I think I've done the right decision, man. So that's my advice. Always think with your heart, but with your head too. Put all the cards on the table. Try to put yourself outside your own box and see it as an external person, I would think, you know? And that's why I value friendship, because a lot of people called me straight away when they saw that I was going to move out, or before that, because a friend of mine died of coronavirus implications, and I've posted about it. And straight up, one of my best friends there, he called me straight away, and we spent again 2 hours on the phone, and he was really, really, really sweet and giving me advice. Obviously, I told him about the situation, the flat share situation, because that's what was stressing me the most. And he said, Rui, man, you do whatever you think it's more sensible. If you think it's more sensible for you to go back to Portugal, just do it. He will understand. And I think he understood, man. I'm always more concerned about everybody else than me, you know. This might sound, you know, a bit cheesy, but I do care about others first, and I do care about myself, you know. And I was caring a lot, and I still am caring a lot about him. But that was hard for me, man. That was really, really, really hard, you know. Leaving London, leaving 12 years of London behind, all the friendships I've made, all the contacts I've made, not going to that amazing flat share, the opportunities that could arise from that. And I still believe that they will still arise, you know. I live in hope as well, rather than in fear. So that's my advice, man. Always think with your heart, but with your head as well. Try to be as sensible as you can. And, you know, I think this advice goes to both your life choices, but also to this pandemic situation specifically. You know, people to be aware, people to be alert. You know, stay alert. Obviously, you can't stay alert to an invisible virus, but just be sensible. You know, yes, you can go out. I would recommend continuing lockdown measures.
Yeah.
If you really be sensible, because I think the government has given mixed messages, man. I've seen the speech and it was just like, what? People are confused. People are living in fear. And, you know, I think that people should make use of their own reason and, you know, be sensible, be careful out there, wear a mask wherever you go, don't touch your face, wear that hand gel in your pocket. If you touch things, you know, try to stay away from gatherings, man. I think this weekend I saw pictures and I was like, facepalm, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, just people think that it doesn't affect them, and people think that it's just a common flu. It's not, you know, it's not. It's out there and it's dangerous. You know, look at the amount of deaths in Brazil and in the United States. It's just appalling, man. And, you know, unfortunately, there's no, I don't see a other way of dealing with this rather than being sensible with your own self and with others, because you might not have it, or you might have it without feeling symptoms, but you might be spreading it to people.
Yeah.
So avoid social contact, avoid social gatherings, always wear a mask. That's my take on it. And always think with your heart, but with your head too.
And I think, you know what, that's a wonderful way for us to come into a close. I really do mirror a lot of your views when it comes to looking after yourself and when it comes to making those hard decisions that are ultimately going to put you in a better position. I think with all of what's going on, and even just in life, the best way to serve other people is to serve yourself first. You know, the same way as when you get on an aeroplane, they tell you to put your own mask on first, as opposed to helping other people. And that's because if you put other people's masks on, you're probably not going to make it and you're not going to be able to help anyone else. So always focus on yourself and your own growth, and that's going to help other people grow. Now, Rui, one quick thing. We're going to put some of your links in the show notes. So if there's any links to some of your work, some of your DJing work, and your obviously your freelance work, and of course your new music production line, hopefully people will be able to find you quite easy on there. But we'll probably add whatever links that you want, like if there's any social media platforms or groups that you're a part of or you own, we'll put those in the show notes as well. Okay.
I've got Instagram. It's my personal Instagram. I use it for comedic reasons and musical reasons. So I'll link you to that. But on Facebook, I've got 3 pages. I've got my artist page as a music producer. I've got my record label page. And I also got Rui Fradinho Media Limited, which is my video editing page. So I'll send you the links for those 3 and my Instagram, and I think that will suffice.
Well, lovely, fantastic. Well, look, I'm going to do a little bit of a close. I'm going to have a chat with the people that are viewing and listening, and then we'll have a private conversation after, Rui. So first things first, thank you guys so much for watching or listening my interview with Rui today. There's been a lot of take-homes for me through this time, and there's a lot of things that I've resonated with as well. But more importantly, if you guys have enjoyed what you've just heard and you'd like other people to share it, please do share this episode on your social media just by pressing that share button. That is just it below the link button. If you have enjoyed it and you'd like to tell us about it, please do put stuff in the comments bar and we'll get back in touch with you. Keep it clean and keep it kind. And one last thing, if you do feel like you have a voice at this time, I'm on a mission to interview 100 people. We've broken the 50 people mark now, and I want to hear your story. So please do either get in contact via ABC Gym or comment in the comments bar below. Rui, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for today. And we'll be seeing you soon. Thanks again.
Stay.